Did you rack up thousands of dollars of debt at university and are now wondering if you should pay it off? Here's the answer. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Reese, and in today's episode we are talking about whether you should or shouldn't pay off your HECS debt. And we might cover a few things surrounding what your HECS debt actually is. Firstly, what is a HECS debt? The Higher Education Contribution Scheme, or HECS debt for short, even HELP is sometimes what it's called, is a government subsidy used to basically incentivize people to go to university, study a course or a degree, and they cover the cost until you start actually working in the force and earning money. This allows young people, or realistically anyone of any wealth status, to be able to study and actually do a degree, so everyone has a chance here in Australia. It's a great incentive program and a lot of people definitely utilize it, including myself. If you actually qualify for the program, which most Australians will, you get all of your tertiary education topics paid for. So they will pay each subject at university until you finish your degree, even if you swap degrees up to a certain limit, but it's quite a high limit, and you will come out of a degree having paid nothing up front. And it's an interest-free loan. Kind of. When you actually get into the workforce and start working, either using that degree or not using that degree, you will start having to make repayments to that loan. Once you start earning $46,620, the government or your employer will withhold money from your pay in a percentage format, which I will show you shortly, where they will save up over the course of a year X amount of dollars out of your pay, where they will contribute that to your outstanding balance. So let's say you have $40,000 debt that you have to pay back to the government. When you start earning over $46,620, they will start taking out a percentage, and as that builds up over the year, come tax time, that will just go straight off of your loan. So let's say they withhold $2,000 from your loan this year, you will essentially pay off $2,000 of that $40,000. This continues until your loan's paid off. Most people in Australia are eligible. Realistically, all you have to be doing is studying a subject at university, which is supported by the Commonwealth program, be an Australian citizen, submit the request to actually get into the program, which is a form issued on the website. I've left a link in the description, which will take you to a website to provide a little bit more information about how to actually enroll for this program. And the most unlikely entry criteria that you wouldn't have met is that you cannot borrow more than your allowed HECS limit. So if you've studied previously and want to continue adding to your HECS debt, there is a limit, which is something to be wary of. So now you've finished your university degree, you're working out in the force and you're making a lot of money, or you're making some money or enough money. The question that always gets asked is, should I voluntarily contribute money to that loan to bring it down, pay it off quick, and not have to worry about it anymore? In short, no, you should never do that. Never, ever, ever. Why? I'm going to tell you. Holding that money instead of putting it towards your HECS debt could definitely be used much more wisely. You could invest in the share market, which will give you a much higher return than what you would save putting it into your HECS loan. You could use it to build up an emergency fund for a rainy day when you might actually really need that money to survive. Or ultimately, you could just put it towards your big savings ready for a big purchase, such as a car, a house. Realistically, a house is the best example because you will need every cent when the time comes. In future videos and videos that I've already made, you will understand why it's such an important thing to save every dollar possible for that house purchase, especially when you're really trying to achieve that goal. Even if it's spare cash, 9 times out of 10, that money can definitely be used more wisely than putting it onto your HECS loan. Because ultimately, it's a interest-free loan. You're not paying the government any fees for having that loan. It is them putting their trust in you that you will do the right thing and study with that loan and eventually pay them back. Ultimately, as long as you're working, you will eventually pay it off. Every year when you contribute money towards that balance, it will get lower and lower and lower until eventually you will have nothing left and you will start to earn more in your paychecks purely because your boss won't be putting aside that money anymore to make the repayments. One of the favorite things I've ever heard about the HECS debt, and something that I still definitely believe to be true today, is that the HECS loan is the greatest loan you will ever receive because it's a free loan to gain so much. An education that can be used to propel you into your future so easily. So I just want to take you through an example here. A standard 4-year degree would rack up approximately $35,000 in debt. At the end of that year, the total would be indexed, and I'm going to explain what indexing is, but essentially it's adding a percentage to your total. So let's say that $35,000, and it's going to be indexed at 1.8% as of 2020, 2021. That percentage changes every year, which would see your HECS increase by $630 at 1.8%. So $35,000 plus $630. Now, for every $1,000 that you pay off in advance with money out of your own pocket, you would save roughly $18.
Now, in a worst case situation of putting $1,000 into a high interest saver at 1.8%, which is achievable, you would earn $18 per year, which is by far the worst possible way to save your money right now. And you would still be breaking even. The money is accessible in a savings account, whereas it would be lost being paid back to the government as a voluntary contribution. The return of investment by paying off your HECS becomes less and less over time. As you pay more off, you will save less by paying it off faster, compared to having it in a savings account. If you have money in a savings account, it will compound as the interest will add to the amount that you grow every year, basically bringing your balance higher than it was previously. And it's going to continue to grow.
That is just a simple example. If you put it into your house account, you put it into the share market, you would definitely see returns higher than that $18 of savings. So therefore, that is just a simple example, a very simple calculation to show you how you are essentially not losing anything for having this debt. Yes, $630 being added to that limit is a lot. And now I'm going to explain what indexing is. Yes, the HECS is an interest-free loan, but me studying today and someone studying the same degree in 40 years' time, the cost of that degree will have gone up with inflation. So if it costs $40,000 to study now, it might cost $1 million in 40 years' time. They're numbers that I've pulled out of the air. It's not relevant to the actual story, where the government adjusts it annually at the percentage rate of inflation. So therefore, they will just take your whole debt minus what you've paid off and multiply it by 1.8% and then add that to the total value of the loan. So like I said just before in the example, if you had $35,000 in debt, at 1.8%, it would add around about $630 to your total overall debt. It might seem like a lot, but it really isn't. This is called CPI or indexing, where they adjust it accordingly based on inflation. And they will do this every year until your balance is paid off. Here are some extra considerations that you should definitely be thinking about before signing up to the HECS program. If you drop out of the degree, it doesn't matter. If you've taken out a HECS loan, you owe that money back to the government at some point. Now, the only time that they will start coming to collect for it is once you earn over that threshold. So on the screen, you should be able to see right now, the current threshold is $46,620 in Australia. Meaning if you earn $1 over that, you will be expected to make a contribution through your employer, meaning your employer should put that money aside out of your paycheck before giving you your actual pay to contribute towards that loan and pay it down. Otherwise, come tax time, the tax office will be chasing you. So the HECS loan is not a free loan where you just get it and if you never finish the degree, you never have to pay it off. That's not how it works. You owe that money, you're still borrowing that money. Another consideration is the government doesn't pay the full amount up front, so it's a bi-yearly thing. So per subject is what they pay, as the subsidy program provides the money for those subjects that you're doing each year. So for a standard year of university in Australia, it's 4 subjects per semester, and there are 2 semesters in a year, so 8 subjects, approximately $8,000. The HECS program doesn't generally cover things like textbooks, laptops, or accommodation. Those are all things that you would have to pay out of your own pocket. They don't all roll together into the same package. It's purely a study loan for the actual education component of the degree. So to give you the best example, let's look at what I did for my university degree. So on the screen right now, what you will see is the breakdown from when I began my degree to the end of my degree to now, which is real time. It is essentially my loan, and this is my plan. So I studied at university and racked up a total of $36,943.39. And I've since paid off $4,621.81, as every year they've added an amount to that total through indexing, and I've only been on the job for about 2.5 to 3 years at the time of recording this video. So my current balance owed is $32,321.58. I started earning above the threshold straight away out of university, so I have been paying it off ever since I started working. Now, with my current salary, by my calculations, I will have paid this loan off before I hit 30 years old. I'm currently 25, and that is a 5-year maximum before I pay it off with my salary. My salary should increase within the next 5 years, and therefore that debt should get paid off even faster. What does this all mean? Realistically, as long as I'm doing my job, I am going to pay that loan off without any extra stress added to my life. I'm making the contributions I need to make. The indexing isn't enough to justify me putting money towards it. So I'm just letting it pay itself off, and I will over the course of the next 5 years. The only time that I would ever consider putting money towards paying that debt off is if my balance got really low and it was getting close to index time. So let's say $2,000 as a rough estimate. If I had $2,000 lying around extra cash and I didn't want them to add that 1.8% because I could just be done with that loan and not have to wait a whole nother year to pay it off, because it's only paid once per year. Your employer holds the funds for a whole year, and come tax time, bam, one big payment off of your loan. That is the only time where I would consider putting money to pay off my HECS loan. And it's kind of exciting because by about 30, I'll definitely be needing a little bit more money. Let's say I've bought another house and I'm starting to think about kids or marriage. I'm gonna need that extra boost in my salary. Once it's paid off, my employer will no longer be holding that money, and it will be money in my pocket, which is around about right now $140 a fortnight, which is a significant amount of money over the course of a year. It gets relatively close to $10,000. So ultimately, you probably shouldn't be paying off your HECS unless you are filthy rich. And then you probably shouldn't be watching this video if you are. Finish your degree, get into the workforce, and it will basically take care of itself over time. The intention of this video was to make you consider whether you should or shouldn't contribute to your HECS debt voluntarily. I hope you learned something from today's video. It's a fun topic to cover, and it's definitely an important one to think about. If you enjoyed it, please consider giving it a like and subscribing, and I will see you in the next one.